Hey, it's Todd with TLF Works. A couple of weeks ago, I bought a new pressure pot, put a video out on it. And a little bit after that, I did some casting in there where I casted a olive wood branch from a friend of mine, where I'd casted some olive wood and some Alumilite with, it was Alumilite Clear Slow. And I'd put a little bit of walnut in it because I didn't quite have enough of the olive wood to fill up my mold. And today, we're going to take one of those blanks right here, and we're going to make a pen. We're going to use a pen kit from Rockler. This is the black titanium Cuban pen kit. They were on sale a few weeks ago. It's probably a month and a half ago now. But they were on sale at Rockler. They were a reasonable price, $5, something like that. I bought a few kits. I already had the bushings at home from a few years ago. So let's make a pen. We have our tubes. They're the same diameter, but two different lengths for the top and the bottom. We'll make sure we pay attention to that later. I'm going to try to keep the walnut that's on the ends of this blank and utilize basically this whole thing for this kit. I'm going to trim up one end. I'm going to use my bandsaw sled. Perfect cuts every time with the bandsaw sled and my pin trimming jig. I try to clear the shavings regularly to keep from heating up the blank and possibly cracking it. Alright, so we've cut our blanks. We drilled them out. That was a 10mm drill bit. I'm going to scuff up these tubes. I'm using 240 sandpaper off my pen turning sandpaper rolls. You know, they feel a little slick before you do this. I feel like sanding this maybe gets rid of some residue that might be on there, and it puts some grooves in there that allows that glue to grab. I should also wipe those off with like a denatured alcohol, something like that. I'm going to use Stick Fast Thick. These tubes are two different lengths. I better make sure I put the long one into my long blank and the short one into my short blank. You should always slide your tubes through the blank before you glue them in to make sure that they're drilled properly and that they're not going to hang up or anything. Because if you don't, that CA can cure before you get those things in there. I was wanting to save more of the walnut on this end, so I glued the tube in closer to this end. You can see that there's quite a bit of empty blank there before we get to the tube. On this one, I felt like there was a lot of walnut, so I sort of glued a little closer to this end. And I'll trim some of that walnut off, and hopefully that'll cap itself nicely on those ends of the pen. We'll see. You may prefer to use like a 5-minute of epoxy or something like that. If you do, you might have to wait 10-15 minutes for that glue to set. Probably gonna have to wait like hours for it to cure. But I hit this with accelerator, being CA thick, and I'm gonna move to the next step, which is making sure the insides of these tubes are clear and barrel trimming. A relative of mine gave me a gift card for Amazon, and I used that Amazon gift card to buy this woodpecker ultra shear pin mill, and I bought the 13-piece set. It has reamers for basically every size pen kit. Very sharp right here, very sharp carbon inserts. It says 10 millimeter on it right there, and it fit perfect. See the flat spot? I'm trying to line the flat spot up. I think we're ready to go. If you haven't used these before, they cut like crazy. Keep your fingers and hands away from the business end. I like to take a little file, just sort of make sure the inside is clean. If there's any little pieces of glue in there, I normally feel it with this tool. You know, that woodpecker barrel trimmer, it does a great job, but it wants to cut at a real high speed with good pressure. If you're at high speed with good pressure, it cuts really fast. I stopped sanding here after 150 and used a little CA thin to stabilize the wood parts of this blank. The goal was to go ahead and fill the pores with the CA, stabilizing the wood and keeping the darker shavings from the resin and the walnut from tinting the nice light colored olive wood. So you'll see here that I end up sanding most of the surface of that off as I sand, and then later I do my actual CA finish. Seems like there's a little bit of uncured resin in here, like mostly next to where the bark was on this olive wood, but there's a little piece of it, a little bit right here, and some right here. This right here, I think I can sand through it and then build it back up with CA, and it's going to look fine. Okay, so I've spent a bunch of time off camera putting on a coat of CA, sanding it off, putting on a coat, sanding it off, trying to build up around where those the bark was still on that olive wood and the resin had been soft. And it was soft. I mean, it felt like a hot glue from a hot glue gun or something. And so I've sanded and CA'd and sanded and CA'd, and I've run through a couple of pads, and I'm gonna do some Nova's polish. So I thought I'd turn the camera back on and get us set up, and you can see a couple of coats of polish go onto these things, and then we'll continue from there. Nova's 3, Nova's 2. Here you'll see I'm sanding the ends of the blanks. When you do a CA finish, some of the CA glue, especially when you're using the bushings that I was using, some of the CA glue comes over the edges, and here I'm just trimming that up flush again. This edge is still bad. I had used angled non-stick bushings. Okay, let's press this thing together. This is actually two parts right here. So I'm going to press this in. This goes in the other end. Okay, it's one. Okay, there's that piece. So we ought to be able to take this and screw it on. Put our spring on. Screw our transmission on. This transmission goes both ways. I was afraid of my tube being a little short, but I seem to be fine. Let's get this other side on. Pick out a place for this. I think I'll run it, the clip right down that plane spot. And then these two are made to line up right here on this right there. This pen was a pain in the butt. It wasn't the pen kit's fault. The pen kit is just fine. Looks nice. But my blank was not good. It's turned out okay. Matter of fact, I mean, it's nice. I like it. It's got decent character to it. Don't know if it's focusing. It's nice enough. It was like 3 hours work. 3 hours for one pen is, well, you know, I had fun. I had fun. I hope you enjoyed the video. It's much appreciated. It's sort of crazy. I have over 500 subscribers now, which is a little nuts. And I'm appreciative of every single one. And I appreciate it if you subscribe. Leave a comment down below. Tell me what your toughest pen has been. Be interested in hearing your stories. This one right here, it was a tough pen. But basically I overcame simply by putting on a whole bunch of coats of CA and sanding down to try to fill in a couple of bad spots where the resin was soft due to the what I believe was due to the bark. So thank you very much, and we'll see you again next time.